Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Allyson Mancini, your Holistic Nutritionist.
And I'm Julietta, the Magical PT. Welcome to our Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we interview other powerful goddesses out there so that we can empower each other to become the goddesses we are meant to be. Today, we are joined by Vimari. Thank you so much for joining us. Please introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about what you do.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I'll give you a little bit of my background. I'm Puerto Rican. Both my parents are Puerto Rican. I was born in the States. We moved around quite a bit. So I started my career in New York City. And then I moved down to Miami in 1999, where I've lived ever since. I live with my husband and my 15-year-old chocolate Labrador. That's my baby. So that's, so I help mid to senior level professionals transition out of unfulfilling jobs into thriving careers so that they can live joyfully and fulfilled. And I do that through mental fitness, career strategies, and professional branding. I've been doing this since 2014. That's when I transitioned my own career.
Nice. I love it. Well, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
If we're ready, we'll dive straight into the questions here.
Let's do it.
So question number one, Vimari, what is your superpower or what would you choose it to be?
I love that question. So since I got a little heads up, it was funny. I was thinking about it and wisdom came to my mind. And then after I thought about that, I said, I have my first mental fitness group coaching group and that I started on May 1st. And so I texted them because they were texting us, communicating. And I said, I'm going on a podcast today. What is my superpower? And so I thought, hey, let me ask my clients what they say, right? So it's interesting. I'll read it to you. One said, so many. Your superpower is your enthusiasm and your ability to empower others to be the best they can be. And then the second one said, I would say your superpower is assisting individuals to find their own superpower. You're like the superpower coach. And then the other one said, I agree with all here. The two that came to my mind were insight and observation. So
nice.
Love
I thought
it.
that was cool.
And I love that you reached out to other people too, because we always see ourselves so differently than how the rest of the world sees us. And it's really great to step out and ask people for their insights into us. So
Absolutely.
I invite all our listeners to go out and ask other people what they view their superpower as being.
Yeah, I thought it was a great question to ask them because, when I was thinking about it, and I've got this thing where I've always, through my career, I suffered from imposter syndrome. So one of the things is that I couldn't recognize what my talents were or why I was successful, right? And and so that when I saw that question, it brought that back, and I said, let me just ask. I wonder what this group of clients would say.
Very cool. Very cool.
I love the ability to empower because that's exactly what we're doing here. That's our whole thing. We want to empower other women. So yes, that's awesome that you do that.
Thank you.
All right. Next question is, what is a book that has greatly influenced your life?
Yikes. That was a tough one.
There's the same response from everybody. They're like, just one?
I know. So I was listening to your podcast, and I'm like, okay, read that one. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about, or what am I going to say? So for me, the one that came to mind right away was The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And that I read right when I was in my own transition, like working on my own transition. And I felt that book was extremely helpful because that was already the direction I was going towards. And I was looking to leave corporate in order to find my purpose and to really live a life with purpose. And so I would say that would be the book that has had the biggest impact since I've entered the entrepreneur world.
I feel like, I don't know that I've ever read that one. I feel like I've been told to read. Maybe I read it a long time ago, but that is definitely one I've definitely been told to read before, for sure.
Okay, yeah. Check it out.
I will admit, this is a book that I haven't read. Most of the books that have come up, I have, but this is a new one for me. So,
oh, good. Well, I'm glad to introduce you to something new.
Yes.
I mean, I've read some of the others that have been mentioned, like the 4 Agreements, clearly, love that. There's so many books out there that have been great. But this one, I guess aligns most with the work that I do.
Nice. Yeah. With that. Yeah, I need to read it because if I read it, I don't remember it. So I definitely need to read it.
They also have a version that I got for a couple of graduates in our families, because they have a version for graduates. And it just talks about, finding your purpose and utilizing your gifts.
I love that. Mm-hmm. That's a great gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love giving that to graduates as a gift.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't have any graduates in my life, but that's.
You will have a graduate in your life in a year and a half.
Yes.
I thought about that just because, I'm going through my Facebook and that's all I see now. It's like all the graduation pictures. So.
I feel like I get a graduation announcement like every other day in the mail lately. So, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Proud of them all. They've been through a lot this last year.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. The 2020 class and the 2021 class, God bless them. Woof.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Definitely a change from the norm of graduating. Like I can't even imagine losing all of those things from senior year but anyway, they'll create something extraordinary out of having gone through that experience.
It gives them an edge. It gives them the resilience that most of us graduating classes didn't have. So, I think.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I always say, in any situation, there is a gift in it. And if you can find what that gift is and recognize it and use it, you will go very far.
I love that you say that because that's so much about my mental fitness work. I'm getting certified in positive intelligence. And one of the things is finding the gift and opportunity in everything that happens, in life. Any challenge really does bring itself, a gift or opportunity. So
yeah,
I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's always there. You just have to train your eye to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is positive intelligence? Explain that. I mean, I get what positive intelligence is, but you said you didn't what is that? What does that bring to your clients? That sounds pretty cool.
It's been amazing work. It's been around. It's actually, that's another book. And I was going to tell you that that's my favorite book, but then I was going to say, really, it's up there, but it's not. So Positive Intelligence, I invite you to read the book. Shirzad. I always forget his last name because his first name is always, so the author's Shirzad. And so he's the one that, based on the book, created the Positive Intelligence mental fitness. And it's for coaches to get certified in. And it's been a great supplement to my coaching practice. Not only have I practiced mental fitness without having these, his work, but it really focuses on shifting your mindset. And so And it's shutting down those saboteurs that we all have. So for instance, my saboteurs can also be your strengths. So my major strengths are my saboteurs, which are I'm a hyperachiever. I am a controller and restless. And so those, even though those saboteurs have made me very successful or helped me in my career to be successful, at times they sabotage you. And so, I was a workaholic. I've been a workaholic my entire life. That's not exactly healthy. And so what we teach is how to really overcome the hijackings of your saboteurs quickly to go into the sage part of your brain, which is the right side of your brain, where curiosity, flow, everything positive lives. And so we do what we call PQ reps, which is tiny little reps. I say tiny because it's only a minute or two. You could even do them for a few seconds just to help you shift your mindset. And so some of it for me, when I first started doing this work, related to mindfulness. So some of the PQ reps can be like mindfulness practices. The work has a bunch of, he did a bunch of research with top executives, athletes, world-class athletes, and, people that really don't have the time to sit there for, 10 minutes to meditate. Some people think that 10 minutes of meditation is a long time. And so these PQ reps, you can do them really quickly, and it'll help you really go from that saboteur hijacking of your left brain to the right side of your brain into your sage. So that's
like interesting stuff. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Very cool.
I can send you via email you can take, there's a free assessment. You can take it so you can see what your saboteurs are.
For sure.
We'll link to that
and we'll have to share that in the comments for the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating. Ever since I've incorporated into my coaching practice, I'm loving this work.
Nice. All right. You ready for question number 3, Vimari?
Go ahead. Go for it.
So, because as women, we all need to do much more self-care. We need to take care of ourselves. What is your favorite self-care practice?
I would have to say walking my dog. My walks with my dog are, I practice self-care in different ways. I have, for instance, a morning ritual where I do my meditation. I listen to my reflections. I read a little bit. I try to incorporate my exercise in. But the one thing that, even though I have that ritual, and everyone knows, my husband knows that I have that ritual. He cannot bother me during that time. Walking, if I miss one thing from the ritual, I'll never miss the walking my dog. And walking for me and just being out in nature for me is just healing, and it's just a great way to start my day. So I always start my day walking, and I end my day walking. So for me, that I would say, self-care, my self-care practice would be that. I also advocate just simple things. So like, this month, I'm going to all of my doctor appointments. So to me, that's self-care. If we don't have our health, we won't have anything else. So for me, I really do advocate, going to the doctors annually or, every 2 years or whatever. You'll be surprised how many high achievers and how many high performance people just don't go to the doctor. I don't know what else. Fun. So this year, so what I do is that I typically look at the year and say, okay, what am I missing? I haven't been taking care of myself perfectly because we're not perfect. But what am I missing? So this year, I'm working on fun. I'm incorporating fun into my self-care because I found that lacked in 2020. So I found a salsa exercise class on YouTube. And I've been doing salsa dancing in my living room.
That definitely sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's salsa for exercise. But it's fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I sweat more than I sweat in CrossFit, in Orange Theory, anything else that I've done. So I like it.
We had another guest that she actually goes to a studio and does, I think it was salsa, wasn't it, Julia?
No, I think the one that she's doing is like more like a hip hop kind of, but dance, dance is a super fun way to get exercise. And maybe a thing that not everybody knows about me, La Gringa sitting here, not that long ago, I had a reputation down in Miami. I was La Gringa que sabe bailar.
Wow.
And I was out salsa dancing all the time.
Really?
And the sweat is pouring down, and salsa is good exercise.
Oh my God. So,
I did not know that about you. That's awesome.
Let me tell you, I was working with my coach last year, and when we were just, 2020 was for everybody. It was a tough year, but I threw myself into work, and with the work that I do, I helped so many people. I was helping so many people transition because so many people were laid off from their jobs, and there's industries that completely disappeared, like the hotel industry, for instance, and so 2020, I just served everybody, but I let go of my self-care. And a lot of it was fun. I didn't have any fun in my life. And I was speaking with my coach, and she's, she helped me kind of dig. And I started to think, and one day I'm walking my dog, because that's my best, either the shower or my dog, one of the two. I love brainstorming during those sessions. So and I'm like, what did I love to do when I was younger? And I thought, oh my God, salsa, salsa dancing. I was in New York City, and I would go out 4 or 5 nights a week salsa dancing. So I said, well, let me look on YouTube. And I just Googled salsa for exercise. And I found 2 channels that I tried and I loved. And one is it's not only salsa, it's all ballroom. And so I'll do 30 minutes of one and 30 minutes of the other. And I said, no wonder I was so skinny when I was in New York. Because I sweat like you wouldn't believe. It's amazing. So I love it. It's bringing me back to that time when I was in my 20s, and and then it's great exercise.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look for those channels too.
I know. That's what I'm thinking too. I need to change it up a little and have some fun.
We've got to change it up. For me, it's, that's what works for me, just because I tend to get bored. I'm trying to see if I can remember what the channels are so I can tell you. They're amazing. Remembering names is not my strength. So it's like,
tell me about it. You turn 50 and you get this disease called CRS.
I think we just have so much to, remember that it's just, it's, you pick what you remember, right?
I love to make up the stories. Like, there's just so much more to remember now. That's why I can't remember everything. But
that's right. That's right. I don't know. I'll have to look for it and then send it.
We'll find the links later, and we'll put them in the comments.
Yeah, because they're awesome. Mm-hmm.
So we got one more question to go, and
okay.
This is a great question coming from a coach. It'll be great having an answer coming from a coach. How do you create accountability in your life?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm a hyperachiever, so I'm goal-oriented. I've always, accountability has always come naturally to me. I've also been on my own since I was 17, so it's like I had to really hold myself accountable to survive. And so, for me, my calendar, I live on my calendar. So if it doesn't, I always tell people, let me put it on my calendar, because if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. That goes for personal and for business. I could just keep everything in one calendar. My husband is great at keeping me accountable. My family, I would say my clients keep me accountable, on a weekly basis. I have to practice what I preach. My community, there was a time from 2016 to 2020 that I was elected in my community as a council person. And so believe me, they kept me accountable. So I just just surround myself by not only my own accountability, but the people that I surround myself around. I do silly things like there's this thing in my bathroom that I see as soon as I get out the shower. It's a tile. It's been sitting there for about 15 years. And I don't know what I would do if it disappeared, but it says, wish it, dream it, do it. And it's a daily reminder to keep myself accountable for my dreams. And of course, having my coach. I hire different coaches depending on what I need at that time during the year. So, those are my different. So it's not one thing. It's just different things that help keep me accountable in my business and in life. Like my coach that I'm working with now is helping me stay accountable to being a better friend, a better family member, because of the fact that I'm a hyperachiever. I am a great friend and I'm a great family member, but to me, I would like to take more time to make those phone calls, to touch base with the family members, and not let it be something that I'm thinking about when I'm laying down in bed. What didn't I do today? Right. So I'm trying to shift. I'm shifting so that can be a priority. And I'm working with a coach to help me do that now.
I love hearing that you're a coach and you have a coach, because I don't know why it seems so difficult out there. I've worked with different coaches over the years as well. And, people sometimes look at you crazy, like, what are you getting a coach for? And the fact that coaches get coaches, like that in itself should tell everybody the value of having a coach, because even people who do it themselves still see the value in hiring somebody else to do that for them. And, if you really want to be successful and get everything that you want out of life, I think one of the best ways you can to do that is to hire a coach and someone that's going to help you, guide you to your way of getting there.
Absolutely. And we don't all have the answers, right? And there's so much to learn. So I don't know. For me, it started because I'm a lifelong learner. I'm just love learning. And the first time I hired a coach, I didn't even know what a coach was. Like I just went to a Tony Robbins thing, and then, I did UPW, and at the end they're like, "Oh, do you want to hire a coach? Do you want coaching?" And I'm like, "What is that?" And so that was my first experience with coaching before I even became a coach. And I've been hooked ever since. I hired a coach when I did my marathon, right? So I hire a running coach. I love working out with personal trainers because they hold me accountable. So I've hired a personal trainer, and that was all before I hired coaches. So that's kind of like how I look at it, and what I explain to my clients is, or my prospects is, the best athletes, leaders have coaches. There's always someone there that's, on the sideline, helping them stay accountable, giving them that little push. And, the same goes for every one of us if we want to achieve our goals. And as a coach, there's still so much I want to achieve, and there's so much growth that I want to have, that I need to surround myself by a group of people that can do that, help me achieve those goals.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it is the time in our show that we talk about our takeaways. And Allyson, are you ready with your takeaway?
I have a puppy in the background, so sorry, I was on mute. For those of you that can't see it, I had to mute myself because I had the puppy playing with the squeaky toy again. But my takeaway, honestly, is probably what you just said about, here's a woman who coaches other people, and she gets it that she needs to have a coach. And I think that reminds me, I hired a coach for the first time over a year ago. And what I find so interesting is, as my kids were growing up, I hired coaches for them all the time. I hired coaches for them to do private lessons. I hired dance coaches. I hired hockey coaches for them. Why wouldn't I hire a coach for myself? Like, we do that all our lives. Athletes have coaches. musicians have coaches, theater people have coaches. So why don't business people have coaches? So I think that that's the biggest takeaway. And I love how you say, Vimari, that can change. And sometimes you need a different coach for different seasons of your life. And I think that's so true. And I love that. So that's my takeaway.
Yay.
My takeaway is I'm going on YouTube and finding these salsa classes on YouTube. I need salsa in my, like, those days that it was so much fun, you know, and you said, you know, I used to dance like at least 5 nights a week. And even on weeknights, I mean, I was younger then, like my energy was a little bit higher. But like even on weeknights, I would be out dancing until like midnight. I'd go home and I just have so much energy. I had no problem getting up at 6 the next morning to get ready and go to work. And, you know, weekends, forget it. I would dance salsa. Can you imagine? I would dance for like 6 hours straight, like nonstop. Cool. Like that's like running a marathon, you know, it's insane. And yeah, I was a lot skinnier then too, but I'm like, I definitely need to bring some salsa back to my life. So thank you for that, Vimari.
My pleasure.
What is your takeaway from our show today, Vimari?
I just, you know, these conversations, you know, sometimes I don't have enough conversations with others. And in terms of just learning about like salsa, like I love the fact that I was able to relate with you with, you know, salsa. And typically I don't speak about things like that, right? So it's kind of, my takeaway is just the level of connections that we can have by just sharing a tidbit about ourselves.
For sure. I'm sure there's somebody else in our audience too that's going to be YouTube searching for the salsa videos on YouTube, and we'll all be dancing.
Yeah, I promise to get you those.
I think it's such a good reminder to have conversation, right? This is why we have conversation, because you just never know. Like Julietta and I say it all the time. Every single time we interview somebody, we learn something new. We are exposed to something we've never heard before, or we're reminded of something that we need to bring back into our lives, such as salsa for Julietta.
I love that. Oh, so I found them myself. I found my subscriptions. So it's $375 Dance Studio. That's the one. They do not just salsa. It's all ballroom. So that's, for me, that's a bit challenging, because there's the quick step is so hard. Like and it's fun. I even bought jazz sneakers in order to, and then the second one is the dance doctor, and she gets a little more freestyle. She's like the sexy dance doctor. So I do the $375 first, and then I do the dance doctor.
Nice. I love it. All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Vimari. This was a lot of fun talking with you.
Thank you.
Amazing, great energy. I love that you brought it. And thank you to all our listeners who were joining us today. Again, like always, all the information, everything we talked about, you'll find the links in our show notes, how to get in touch with us, how to get in touch with Vimari. And please, if you enjoyed what you heard, subscribe, like, share. We really want to get this out there to all the women that we can, so we can support each other in being the goddesses that we are meant to be. So thank you all for joining us, and have a magical day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vimari.
Thank you.